Crumbs seem to just magically appear in my sewing room. They come in so many forms, and today I am going to show you the funnest way to play with crumbs. So these came from cutoffs from string blocks. I'm just going to go through, separate them. I have teal and I have purple, and they're going to make the best project. I also stole some out of my little tubs in case I want more variety. Variety only matters if you decide it does. You can make this quilt in any size you want. You just need a background. For you today, I'm doing a doll quilt, and then I'm going to also do a bigger baby quilt. But you can do this king size if you decide to. You want to stay away from the edge. I usually give myself about an inch. It's not exact because I want to leave room to put the binding on and not have it touch my crumbs. We're going to make what I call a cobblestone crumb quilt. What are the rules? Well, that's the fun. There are no rules. You can do this in as many colors as you want. I like controlled, obviously, so this quilt is going to just only be allowed to be teal and purple or lavender. And by teal, I mean all shades of teal, and I think there's even a blue piece I put in here. But I make the rules, so you get to make your own rules to anything you want to do. You get to decide how far away to space them. I've done this where they're spaced much farther apart, or you can put it close together. You're just building sort of a mosaic, except let's call them cobblestones. As we place them, I'm thinking things like, that looks too big, I'm going to cut it down because they're crumbs and I can make them whatever weird shape or size I want. So anything you do works. If you need to trim a little hair sliver off to make it the size you want it, go ahead. There's nothing stopping you from just creating and having fun with this. As I lay it out, I'm trying to balance that there's darks and lights so that it pops out, but don't think too hard about it. Lay it out and then see if something bugs you. And usually your brain will have told you, oh, let's add some more purple over here, or let's put a couple teals together here. And it just looks great. I have done this with children and theirs looks great. As you do this, don't be hard on yourself. Now I grab my trusty glue stick. This is just a regular non-toxic school glue stick that I like to use. I don't like the purple, so I like the white that just, it's a regular kid's glue stick. And if you don't have glue sticks and you don't want to go out and buy them, you can use pins. But what I'm doing is I'm just putting a little dab of glue and I'm pressing these down so that the little piece, the cobblestone, as you will stick to the background. And I won't have to take pins out while I'm quilting it or while I'm attaching it down. So this glue stick will hold it in place. And so just a little dab, not a ton of glue, and it washes out when you're done. I buy these when it's school time and I just fill my drawer and make sure I keep fresh ones ready to go. And I use them all year long. I've had people worry that they don't want to sew over the glue. They're worried it will bother their sewing machine, but I've never had it bother my sewing machine. Number one, I'm only using a barely any. And number two, when you press it, it dries and it just doesn't seem to cause a problem. As I've made these cobblestone crumb quilts over the years, I've learned a few tricks. This is one. Do the edges and the corner first as you start to come to the end. For some reason, that is the hardest part to, I guess because you're trying to stay an inch from the edge, but it's the hardest part to get so that you feel happy about the distance of things. As you watch me finish this off, you'll notice that I fill in and I build, but I go along the edge first because it's easier to cut something for a funny little shape in the middle than it is for the edge, for me anyway. And that's how I finish it up this way. The other thing is work in colors you like. I've made these in fabrics that I didn't like and I'm never happy. So if you start out using crumbs of fabric that you think is beautiful, then when you're finished, it will feel like a masterpiece to you because the colors will sing to your heart and you will love how they look. I hardly used any crumbs. Notice I really could make a king-size quilt easily. So I'm going to finish this little doll quilt, which is big enough it could be for a baby swaddle. And then I'm also going to make a bigger baby quilt size to show you. I'm going to add another color in for that one. But notice as I pick it up, they all stick, the glue is working, and I'm now going to do it on my long arm. If you don't have a long arm, you can make this on your domestic sewing machine. I've seen people do it that way. You can also sew the top on. You can sew sew those pieces on your machine and then give it to a long armor. Or maybe your long armor would be glad to do it for you with the glue. But what I'm doing is I'm sewing about a 1/4 inch, maybe even a little more, in from the edges. And because I put my cobblestones so close together, then I am just going from one cobblestone to another. If I set them farther apart, then I quilt in between in the neutral, that's the background. And what happens is this is a raw edge applique, so when I wash it, it's going to fray. And I'm going to wash it so you can see it frayed in this video. I love this look. I have made it for baby quilts to give as gifts, and it has been very well received. People really think that this is a unique and fun quilt. If your pieces are bigger than mine, you may want to quilt in the centers of them. For smaller pieces, I just do the going around the edge, and the fray is going to make the look that we want. If you haven't heard of color catchers, this is a product I buy from the grocery store, and you just take a sheet, I tear it in half so that it can go throughout, and I'm going to wash both the quilts I made before I show them to you. Anytime there's a red or a deep purple or a dark blue, I throw in a color catcher. And I'm not even going to bother to show it to you when we're done because it didn't pick anything up. But just for safety, if I have those dark colors, I throw in a color catcher at the first washing. It takes 2 or 3 washings and dryings before all of the fraying gets done and the threads get loose. But as they get loose, then you go in with your scissors and you trim off the frayed thready parts, and it just cleans it up so that it's ready to go. And if there's ever any corners that feel like they're too long, you can watch that. If you find them, you just trim them right there. See, it's just a little too long. It's the way I quilted it. I could have quilted it farther into the corner, but I didn't. So you just make a little pile of thread debris, and then it's ready. And you can wrap your baby in it. I don't have a baby, so I have to use a bear, but it's a really great doll quilt, or it would be really good for swaddling, and it's washed and ready to go. So this is the one we did. It's the doll quilt, and you can see that the spaces in between the cobblestones grow after it frays. So it frays up and just has that beautiful old-fashioned look as it shrinks a little bit, and you can see that in the binding. You can see it all around. Here is one I made, and I added pink. So this is simply the teal, the purple, and I added pink. So if you want more color to your quilt, you just add another color, and you can control it. And these are all scraps. They're all from my crumb savings, and it's just a beautiful thing to do to make a quilt like this. Have you been to our web shop lately? We have some amazing, unique prints that are for sale. My daughter did the art for them, and I love them so much. I've noticed a few of you have found them and ordered them, whether they're for your studio or for a gift for someone you love. They are amazing and wonderful. Come and visit us and see if you too need a beautiful art print right at our website. You can find them located at the link below. Just look in the description, and come see our patterns too. We have lots of fun for you. Raw edge applique. It's easy, it's fun. Anyone can do this and make a beautiful cobblestone crumb quilt. Stay merry and creative.